Subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts. Her hands trembled as she stared down at the crumpled letter lying on the floor. The dim light of the small room barely touched the stained wood, but she could see the faint ink bleeding through the folds. Outside, rain hammered the window in, relentless waves, each drop echoing the storm raging inside her heart. "Why?" Maya whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of 1,000 unanswered questions. "Why did they do this to me?" The door creaked open slowly. She didn't look up, but she knew who it was. She could feel his presence before he spoke, still clinging to that old thing. The voice was cold, sharp like a blade. "You never belonged in this world, Maya. You were poor, a burden." Her breath caught, but she forced herself to meet his gaze. "I'm more than what you think." He stepped inside, a cruel smile twisting his lips. "More? You're nothing without money. That's why I left you, because you were poor, and you always will be." Tears burned her eyes, but she blinked them away. Something deep inside her stirred, a fierce spark that refused to die. "I'll prove you wrong," she said quietly. "One day, 3 years ago, life had been different. Maya had dreamed simply of love, of stability, of a home filled with laughter. She and David met by chance in a crowded cafe, both struggling, both hungry for more than their circumstances allowed. She was drawn to his charm, his confidence. He promised her a life better than the one she knew, but reality had other plans. The bills piled up faster than her hope. Job rejections felt like punches to the gut. And when David's patience ran out, so did their marriage. Financial incompatibility. He said coldly on the day he served her divorce papers, "I can't be tied to someone who can't keep up." Maya was left with nothing, no home, no security, no love, just the bitter taste of betrayal. But there was a secret Maya had kept hidden, even from herself, for years. A secret that, if revealed, could change everything. Her grandmother had left a will, a document sealed in mystery and guarded by powerful people who wanted to keep Maya in the dark forever. The fortune that was rightfully hers was buried beneath layers of lies and greed. Now, as the rain soaked the city streets, Maya clutched that crumpled letter, the only clue she had to her true identity. Her phone buzzed sharply. She glanced. At the screen, a message appeared from an unknown number. "Meet me tomorrow. I have something you need to see." No name, no explanation. Her heart pounded. Was this a trap or a chance to reclaim her life? She had no choice but to find out. The next morning, the city buzzed with indifferent energy. Maya wrapped herself in a worn coat and stepped into the grey drizzle. Her feet carried her toward a small, forgotten cafe in the heart of downtown, a place where secrets were traded over cheap coffee and whispered conversations. Inside, a man sat in a shadowed corner, his eyes sharp and calculating. As Maya approached, he slid a thick envelope across the table. "Open it," he said in a low voice. Her fingers trembled as she unfolded the papers inside. Legal documents, photographs, and faded letters, all proving her true identity. She was the heiress to a vast fortune, stolen from her by those she once trusted. "This is just the beginning," the man warned. "There are people who won't let you have this. They're watching." Fear and hope tangled inside her chest. The path ahead was dangerous, but she was ready to fight. Back in her small apartment, Maya sat by the window, staring out at a city that had once rejected her. Now it felt like a battlefield. A sudden knock startled her. She opened the door to find David standing there, his face unreadable. "I heard about the papers," he said quietly. "We need to talk." Her heart raced. Was he here to help? Or to stop her? "I'm not the woman you think I am anymore," she said. David's eyes flickered with something. Regret? Fear? Then prove it. That night Maya lay awake, memories swirling in her mind, and the love, the lies, the betrayal. But beneath it all a new fire burned, the fire of determination. She wasn't just the poor woman he left behind. She was the key to a secret legacy, and she was ready to claim what was hers. Days passed. Maya spent every waking moment piecing together the fragments of her grandmother's hidden past. The documents revealed a family torn apart by greed and jealousy. Names she didn't recognize, companies she never knew existed, all linked to her by blood. Each discovery brought new questions. Who had betrayed her family? Who stood to lose if the truth came out? One evening, as she sifted through dusty boxes, in her grandmother's old home, now abandoned, a sharp sound echoed behind her. She froze. "Who's there?" she called out, voice trembling. Silence. Then, footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Maya's heart pounded. She reached into her coat pocket, and for her phone, but it was gone. Panic surged. A shadow emerged from the darkness. A figure stepped forward, face hidden beneath a hood. "You shouldn't dig so deep," a voice warned. "Why?" Maya demanded, courage rising. "Because the truth scares you?" The figure laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the empty house. "You don't know what you're messing with." Before she could react, the figure vanished into the night. Maya stood alone, heart racing, mind spinning. The danger was real, but so was her resolve. She wasn't going to back down. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. "They're watching you. Trust no one." Maya's world was crumbling, but the secret she carried was about to turn everything upside down. Cliffhanger. That night, as she locked the door, a car parked silently across the street. A pair of eyes watched her from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. The rain had stopped, but the heavy silence outside Maya's window made her heart pound harder than ever. She stared out into the dimly lit street, where shadows moved like ghosts under flickering street lamps. The car parked across the road was still there, its dark windows reflecting the faint glow of the city. Whoever was inside wasn't going anywhere. She pulled the curtains shut, her breath shallow, her mind racing. The warning text still lingered in her phone's screen. "They're watching you. Trust no one." But who and why? The pieces of her life, the betrayal, the secret inheritance, the mysterious messages felt like a tangled web closing around her. The next morning, Maya woke early, eyes heavy and spirit restless. She knew the danger wasn't just outside her door, it was inside the very people she once trusted. David's face haunted her thoughts. Why had he come back? Was he truly remorseful? Or was there something darker behind his sudden interest? Determined to find answers, Maya called a trusted friend from her old life, Aisha, a sharp-witted journalist who had always believed in her. Aisha had a knack for uncovering truths and exposing lies. Within minutes, Aisha arrived at Maya's apartment, a determined look on her face. "I've been digging," Aisha said, handing over a folder thick with printouts. "There's a lot more to your grandmother's story than you know. Powerful people don't just lose billions without a fight." Maya flipped through the papers, corporate scams, forged documents, hidden bank accounts. Names she didn't recognize, all tied to a shadowy group who had manipulated her family's fortune. "They're still controlling things," Maya said quietly. "That's why I'm being watched." Aisha nodded. "And they'll do anything to stop you." That night they met at a secluded cafe, speaking in hushed tones. "We need evidence," Aisha said, sipping her coffee. "Something undeniable, something that will blow this wide open." Maya's mind raced. The old family estate was still in limbo, locked away, untouched for years. Somewhere there must be a safe, or a secret room, holding the original will or documents. "If I can get into the estate," Maya whispered, "maybe I can find what they want hidden." Aisha's eyes sparkled with cautious hope. "We'll need a plan." Meanwhile, in a sleek office high above the city, a man watched Maya's every move on multiple screens. His jaw tightened as he listened to a report. "She's getting too close," his subordinate warned. "The heiress is digging where she shouldn't." The man, tall and sharp-eyed, leaned forward. "Then it's time we remind her who's really in control." Back in her apartment, Maya prepared for what could be the most dangerous night of her life. She packed a small bag, a flashlight, phone, some cash, and a thin file folder containing copies of the documents Aisha had given her. The family estate lay just outside the city, abandoned and forgotten. To the world, it was a relic of the past, but to Maya it was the key to everything. She slipped out into the dark, heart pounding as she made her way through the quiet streets. Every shadow felt like a threat, every sound made her jump. At the estate gate, Maya hesitated, then pushed it open. The rusty hinges creaked, echoing in the cold night air. She stepped inside, the overgrown garden swallowing her in darkness. Inside, the house, the smell of dust and decay filled the air. Paint peeled from the walls, and broken furniture lay scattered like forgotten memories. Maya's flashlight cut through the darkness as she searched room by room, her breath shallow, her senses sharp. In the library, she found a loose floorboard. Heart racing, she pried it open to reveal a small metal box. Her fingers trembled as she lifted the lid. Inside, a stack of old papers, brittle and yellowed with age, the original will, letters, photographs, proof. Suddenly, a noise behind her. Footsteps. She spun around, flashlight beams slicing the darkness. No one. But she wasn't alone. Outside, a car engine roared. Lights blinded her as a sleek black vehicle pulled up. Two men stepped out, their faces hidden in the shadows. "Looking for this," one said, holding up a document. Maya's heart sank. They had followed her. Before she could react, they lunged forward. A struggle. Her bag fell, papers scattering. She fought with everything she had, adrenaline surging. Fear turning to fury. A gunshot cracked through the night. Maya dove behind a broken table, heart hammering. The men cursed, then fled into the shadows. Breathless and shaking, Maya gathered the scattered documents. She had the proof now, but at what cost? Her phone buzzed, a message from David. "Meet me. We need to talk. It's about your safety." Was it a trap or a lifeline? The next day, Maya met David in a crowded park, careful to keep her distance. He looked different, tired, serious. "I didn't know they'd go this far," he said quietly. "I wanted to protect you, but I was too late." Maya's eyes narrowed. "Why now, after everything?" David sighed. "Because I'm scared. They're watching me, too. I never wanted you hurt." Was this the truth, or another lie? That night, Maya lay awake, haunted by doubts. Trust no one. The warning echoed in her mind, but she had a choice: fight or fall, and she was not ready to fall. Days later, as Maya and Aisha prepared to expose the conspiracy, a final message arrived. Stop, and now, or lose everything. Maya's hands clenched into fists. They had underestimated her. The battle for her legacy was just beginning. Cliffhanger. In the shadows, the tall man smiled coldly. Let the games begin. Maya's world was no longer her own. Each day, the lines between friend and foe blurred until nothing felt certain. The warning she'd received, the chilling message to stop now or lose everything, was a threat that echoed louder in her mind with every passing moment. Her apartment, once a sanctuary, now felt like a cage watched by unseen eyes. Every creak, every shadow, every unexpected knock sent her heart racing. The black car that had followed her to the estate was gone, but its message remained clear. She was being hunted. The day after the threat, Maya met with Aisha in a quiet corner of a bustling coffee shop. The noise of the world outside was a strange contrast to the tension they carried between them. "We need to go public," Aisha said, voice low but urgent. "The documents you found, the will, everything, they'll mean nothing unless the World sees the truth. Maya nodded, though fear clenched her stomach. Exposing powerful people meant exposing herself to danger. But what choice did she have? Okay, she whispered, but we have to be smart. Aisha pulled out her phone. I've lined up a contact at a national news outlet. They're willing to help. Back home, Maya's phone buzzed again. The screen showed David's name. She hesitated, then answered. Listen, he said, voice tense. You're in over your head. The people who stole your inheritance, they have connections everywhere. You're not just fighting for money, you're fighting for your life. Maya swallowed the lump in her throat. Then help me. David paused. I will. But we have to be careful. That evening, David arrived at her apartment with cautious steps. For the first time since their divorce, they sat together, united by a dangerous goal. David shared what he knew. Hushed conversations overheard at his former workplace, names tied to organized crime, whispers of bribes and cover-ups. The network was vast and the stakes deadly. Maya realized then that the man she once loved might be her only ally in a war she never wanted. Days turned into weeks. Maya and Aisha worked tirelessly, building their case piece by piece. One night, as Maya returned home late from a meeting, she sensed she was being followed. Her footsteps quickened, heart pounding. She ducked into a narrow alley, but a shadow blocked her path. Going somewhere? A voice hissed. Maya's breath caught. Before she could react, a hand grabbed her arm, twisting sharply. Pain exploded through her wrist. Stop struggling, a man growled, dragging her toward a waiting van. Desperation surged through Maya's veins. She kicked and fought, every instinct screaming to escape. Suddenly, headlights flooded the alley. A voice shouted, "Let her go!" David appeared, flanked by two men. The attacker hesitated, then released her, disappearing into the darkness. David pulled her close. "You can't do this alone." Tears mixed with rain as Maya clung to him. The next day, their plan took a new turn. With David's contacts, they arranged a secret meeting with a whistleblower, someone who once worked inside the corporation that had stolen Maya's inheritance. The meeting was set in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. A place as shadowed and dangerous as their secret. Maya arrived first, nerves jangling. Moments later, a figure emerged from the darkness, a middle-aged man with haunted eyes. "I'm Marcus," he said quietly. "I was part of the company. I saw what they did, how they falsified records, bribed officials, and buried the truth." Maya listened, heart pounding as Marcus handed over files filled with incriminating evidence. "This is what they don't want you to have," he warned. But as they left the warehouse, the tension snapped. A convoy of black SUVs appeared, blocking the narrow exit. "Run!" David yelled. They sprinted, weaving through crates and debris. Shots rang out, bullets thudding against metal. Maya felt a searing pain in her leg, but kept moving. They barely escaped, diving into the shadows as the vehicles sped past. Back in safety, Maya cleaned her wound, shaking. "Why won't they stop?" she asked. "Because you threaten their empire," David said grimly. "But this is just the beginning." The next morning, a news alert flashed on Maya's phone. Breaking, anonymous. Whistleblower exposes major corporate scandal. Investigation underway. Maya's breath caught. The story was out. Her secret was no longer hidden, but the victory was short-lived. That night her phone rang. A distorted voice warned, "Stop digging or the next attack won't miss." Maya stared at the phone, tears streaming. She was fighting not just for money or revenge, but for her very survival. Cliffhanger. At the edge of the city, a dark figure watched Maya's apartment through binoculars. The countdown to the next move had begun. The phone call haunted Maya's mind like a shadow she couldn't shake. "Stop digging or the next attack won't miss." The voice was cold, unyielding, a promise and a threat all at once. But Maya was done running. Her story was out in the open now. The media had picked up the whistleblower's documents. The powerful elite who had stolen her grandmother's fortune were facing the kind of scrutiny they couldn't ignore. And Maya was no longer the scared, abandoned woman they had thought she was. That morning, Maya and Aisha sat in a small cafe, watching the world move on outside. For the first time in weeks, there was a flicker of peace between them. "We've done something incredible," Aisha said, sipping her coffee. "The whole country is talking about this scandal." Maya nodded, though exhaustion weighed on her like a stone. "But they'll fight back harder now." Aisha smiled grimly. "Let them. We're ready." David arrived, quietly slipping into the booth beside Maya. The pain in his eyes had deepened, but so had his determination. "We've got to be careful," he said. "They're desperate. They've already tried to hurt you." Maya reached out, taking his hand. "I'm not afraid anymore." Over the next few days, the investigation grew. Prosecutors launched inquiries. Key figures tied to the corporate scandal were arrested or went into hiding. The story dominated headlines, but amidst the chaos, Maya faced her own battles. One night, a shadowy figure broke into her apartment. Maya, expecting the worst, had prepared herself. When the intruder appeared, she stood her ground, phone in hand, ready to call for help. But the figure dropped their mask, revealing a young woman trembling with fear. "I'm sorry," the woman whispered. "They told me to come here and scare you, but I want to help." Maya lowered her phone, heart softening. Trust was hard to come by, but this woman might be a chance for new allies. Together, they uncovered more secrets, hidden accounts, forged contracts, even threats against Maya's own family. Each revelation tightened the noose around those who had betrayed her. In the weeks that followed, Maya met with lawyers, journalists, and government officials. Her fight was no longer personal. It was for justice, for the truth. Her story inspired thousands who had been silenced by power and greed. But Maya also faced her own personal transformation. She reached out to her estranged mother, a woman who had disappeared when Maya was a child, swallowed by shame and fear. Their reunion was raw and painful. "I was scared," her mother admitted, tears streaming down her face. "I thought I couldn't protect you." Maya embraced her, understanding that healing sometimes meant facing the past, head-on. At a press conference, Maya stood tall, no longer the poor, broken woman she had been. With steady voice, she shared her journey, the betrayal, the secrets, the fight. "I lost everything," she said, "but sometimes losing everything is the only way to find who you really are." The crowd listened, captivated. Months later, Maya inherited her grandmother's estate, finally reclaiming her legacy. But she chose a new path, using her fortune to build programs that helped victims of betrayal and injustice. She wasn't just an heiress. She was a survivor, a fighter, and a beacon of hope. One evening, standing on the veranda of her new home, Maya looked out at the horizon, the city lights twinkling like stars. David joined her, silent but steady. "We did it," he said softly. Maya smiled, the fire in her eyes brighter than ever. "Yes, and this is just the beginning." Final lesson. Sometimes the darkest storms reveal the brightest truths. Maya's journey showed that no matter how deep the betrayal, the human spirit can rise stronger, wiser, and unbreakable.